some other multifamily. We have some other multifamily. We're going to be probably going after some other schools here in the fall. We are constantly going after new healthcare work, retail, offices, recreation centers, all things that we're looking at right now. And next slide. So if you have any questions about any of these projects, Kayla's on this call too. You're more than welcome to reach out to her or reach out to me if you have any questions, if you would like to be invited to any of these projects coming up.
Any questions from the group?
I have a question. Thank you, Katie, for that super thorough presentation of 2024. It looks like y'all were booked and busy.
Oh, yeah.
So do you have permission to share any names of NAMAC members that worked on any of those projects, just out of curiosity, so we can celebrate them?
Well, if they would like to speak up, they're more than welcome. I did not get permission in advance, and
Okay,
just to respect their privacy, I'm not going to name names, and at least until the project is fully completed and closed out.
okay, that's fair. So if you worked on any of those projects and you're here and you want us to clap it up for you, please raise your hand. We'd love to celebrate you today. Excuse my granddaughter's marshmallow.
And if you're not willing to announce yourself, like please shoot us an email so that we can highlight you in your most comfortable way also. So I don't see anybody jumping up. Maybe they're not here at the moment, but Katie, as always, thank you for your presentation. And you actually reminded me that I skipped a couple of updates that I want to, before our next presenter, make sure I cited. And you hit one of them, Katie, which is, as everybody knows, especially partners, we are doing our best job to collect data and report to our members and board and to all of our partners on accomplishments, how many folks are coming to present at our meetings and how does that translate into real work. I see Mr. Chris Warren, who probably wants to jump in on that too, as well as some others. But I just wanted to say that because we are using more systems based approaches to gathering that information as we do our partner renewals and membership renewals. We're also using some of our custom database for just efficient and effective delivery of information and kind of inputs back. So I just want to make sure we flag that. I mentioned the website is a good place to find our meetings through kind of the first quarter of the year and probably second. February meeting will be in person. Wanted to make sure people knew that. And our first open door session, which we may open to partners. It typically is a space for members, but it might get open to partners because we will be talking a lot about workforce. And I asked my team to drop in our recently released press on the executive order that the governor just put out. And I can tell you there's a growing coalition of many who are not okay with this executive order that just got pushed. So we are doing some joint efforts with partners like Latino Build. We haven't talked to Awami yet, but AGC, ABC, us, law firms, affordable housing providers who are scared around what this means. So just know that there's a lot of positive opposition that wants to see our voice get louder around this and make sure that it is not hurting our small business concerns, especially on the helm of a state disparity study that, with or without agreements, is already not supporting small businesses. So I say that because there's a lot of push, and I just want to make sure, as a very transparent organization, we share this info with you. I can tell you some big white companies, if I'm being honest, have already reached out and said, "Keep it up, Nate. Let's go." So we just want to make sure we hear from any of our partners. If we decide to put out a coalition letter, we want to get 1,000 signatures if that's what it needs for us to dismantle this executive order that does not support her housing agenda or kind of our agenda of how we scale our business concerns. So again, just wanted to make sure people were aware of that. And then last but not least, I wanted to say that we are hiring, and PCEF is our next presenter, but we are hiring for some green coordinators. because we know PCEF is starting to put a lot of programs, initiatives, and projects out the door. And we just want to make sure our members are ready to go, able, and have the capacity to perform more projects than maybe they're earmarking already. So just want folks to know that is coming as well. And so with that said, I think now is an appropriate time to hand it over to our PCEF group to talk about some PCEF announcements.
Thanks so much, Nate. Appreciate it.
Yes.
And appreciate this moment in your time. Hi, everyone. My name is Wendy Kelfkin. I oversee multifamily and commercial work for PCEF. And I am glad to be here to share with you one of the latest RFPs that we're going to be putting out for PCEF and talk about what some of the contracting opportunities might be around those. Next slide, please. So I'll talk a little bit about, for folks who don't know, what PCEF is and what the climate investment plan is and what that did. And then I'll get into what is strategic program number 2, which is a program, it's a $50 million project program to address unregulated multifamily housing. So we'll talk about the framework and structure, what the RFP is going to look like, what that process and evaluation will look like, and what possible contracting opportunities will look like. And then we'll take any questions. Next slide. Okay, Portland Clean Energy Community Benefits Fund. Keep going. So PCEF invests in climate action that advances racial, social, and climate justice. It was a ballot measure passed by voters, by 65% of voters actually, in November 2018. It's the first climate fund measure of its kind that was created and led entirely by communities of color in the US. It generates over $100 million annually for clean energy investments in Portland. And the dollars come from a gross receipts surcharge on Portland sales by corporations with $1 billion in sales nationally and at least 500,000 in Portland. Next slide. So the climate investment plan, after PCEF was the ballot initiative was passed, we realized there was going to be a lot more money than we had initially thought. And so we wrote the climate investment plan to figure out how to get those dollars spent in a way that is still consistent and aligned with PCEF's goals. And so the climate investment plan allocates approximately $1 billion in climate investments over the next 5 years. So the plan includes allocation for 40 strategic programs, a tree maintenance reserve fund, and community grants. Community grants will continue to exclusively invest in projects by community-based nonprofit organizations. So those will continue to be the eligible applicants for community grants. What we're going to talk about today are strategic programs, and specifically strategic programs. They could be implemented by partnerships with nonprofit organizations, government entities, or businesses, and they aim to achieve specific outcomes. Next slide. So the one we're going to talk about today is clean energy and unregulated multifamily housing. What we mean by unregulated is there isn't an affordability covenant, so that there's not state, federal, or city money or metro money in those invested in those properties that comes along with something that says these rent levels will be maintained in these buildings. They're often known as naturally occurring affordable housing. Next slide. So the framework for SP2 is we're gonna make up to or an average of $15,000 available in PCEF investment per unit. So like a fourplex could receive 60,000 in energy improvements. There is going to be a requirement for a 25% match and a minimum 3-year rent stability agreement required. And so the number of years that folks agree to stabilize the rent in those units will determine, do they get 6,000 per unit or could they get up to 25,000 per unit? So that's the range, and then 15,000 is the average. The investments will be scaled based on the length of the agreement up to 9 years. So if they commit up to 9 years of rent stability, then we'll go up to 25,000 per unit. The match, the 25% match, that can come from any source. And so we're going to be putting out an RFP for an administrator for this. And one of the things we're going to ask them to do is help building owners to find the utility, state, and federal, the other funding dollars that could make that 25% match. So it's not going to necessarily have to come out of the building owner's pocket. The eligible clean energy measures will be informed by an energy assessment. So we definitely want like professional energy assessments to be happening in these buildings. And we're looking for high GHG savings. We're looking for utility bill savings. We really want to see, this program is about creating benefits for the tenants in those units. So heat pumps, heat pump water heaters, and building envelope. We'll consider renewables only if there is a comprehensive energy efficiency package that's done. At this point, we haven't contemplated new construction in this program. And that's kind of an open question of if that is something that you think exists that we should contemplate. Next slide. So this is going to be the framework. So we'll put out in February, we'll put out an RFP for a program administrator to help us design and run the whole $50 million program. We're going to ask that program administrator, for a lot of program delivery, including outreach and marketing. They're going to need to hire the contractors to perform the work. And then $2 million of the $50 million is set aside specifically for workforce and contractor development within this program. Next slide. Okay, so here's the RFP process and the different roles and responsibilities. So PCEF staff, this is what I'll be doing. Whoever the chosen program administrator is, I'll work with them to develop the program design, and then I'll oversee the program delivery. The administrator, so this is the overarching contractor that we're going to hire. They're going to collaborate with us to design and deliver the program. They're going to evaluate the first year of program implementation and recommend program modifications. One of the things we don't know is we don't know if we're going to get building owners that are willing to take us up on this offer, if they're willing to commit to rent stabilization for the amount that we're investing in. So we kind of need to test the market and see if that works, and then reevaluate, see if we need to up the investment. We're going to ask the administrator to manage outreach, contractor selection, workforce and contractor development with approval and oversight from PCEF. The schedule is actually, I was right the first time. RFP is going to be posted in March. The pre-submission meeting will be 1 to 2 weeks after posting. It'll be open for 5 weeks. We're looking to award in early summer 2025 and have an executed contract by the mid-summer 2025. The RFP will include community collaboration preference. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Diverse contracting goals, and then that workforce and contractor development planning and implementation piece. Next slide. So the scoring criteria will award more points to proposals that have relevant experience, like entities that have successfully delivering programs for unregulated, affordable multifamily housing. That's a little niche. So we're going to be interested to see, who we see come across who's actually been able to get at this housing stock, and that have actual experience working with PCEF priority populations and with providing diverse workforce and contractor development. They need to develop a deliverable schedule and staffing plan that shows clear understanding of the scope, and they need to show a plan for meeting and exceeding PCEF goals for incorporating businesses registered with COVID, MSDC, WBENC, or OMWBE. Next slide. So the possible subcontracting opportunities with this administrator, we're going to be encouraging, let's go back. I think we're having a little trouble. One more. There we go. Awesome. Thank you. We're going to encourage partnerships with culturally specific groups who can help identify and recruit housing locations and low-income tenant populations that would ideally be served by the program. So there will be, preference for entities that come in with those partnerships. In terms of contracting, general contracting, and subcontracting, I think the contracting needs are going to be determined by the size of the housing complex and scope. And we're looking at anything from fourplexes, up to 150 plexes, and so the size is going to be all over the place. And so if you're predominantly, a single family contractor, but you've been really interested in getting into multifamily, some of the smaller complexes that we're doing, there may be an opportunity here for you to get involved. I see opportunities for smaller contracting firms to develop also general contracting skills and experience that you would need to do a bigger multifamily project. And then opportunities for new contractors to subcontract for specific scope elements. Other program delivery services which might be open for subcontracting opportunities are translation services, tenant relocation services, the workforce and contractor training, and then marketing. Next slide. That's it.
Wendy,
Questions?
quick
Yes.
question, Wendy, and I was just biting my tongue. This feels like the past RFP that PCEF put out around a central administrator with project delivery. Is this different than that? Because I know there was an RFP that already went out.
Yeah, I think the one you heard about before was about single family for
Okay.
doing individual single family. And that one's, it's a lot more, I guess, highly prescriptive and designed. And so they're going to hire 3 different entities. They're hiring a customer navigator, and they're going to directly hire contractor management entity that's separate from the central administrator. We don't, this one's a little more nebulous. It's a housing stock that we don't know much about, that nobody knows much about. And so we're only going to hire the one central administrator, and then that entity that's where we see the subcontracting and contracting opportunities is with that entity.
Got it. Okay. No, very helpful information. I mean, we're a part of the last RFP and certainly would want to look at this one. I don't know if it conflicts or not, but certainly would love to, have our contractors work on as many of these projects and maybe look at it for us being maybe one of those administrators. I don't know if there's a prototype kind of company you're looking for.
I think we just, again, we just want to see what we can do to be a bootstrap for new and emerging firms that really want to start building their capacity and get into new lines of work. And, we all know who the typical GCs are for these projects, and we'd love to see some new folks come in.
I appreciate that, Wendy. Any other questions from the group? Because that was a lot of good substance.
I have a question on that. This is Alicia with Wise Eyes Renovations. Thank you, Wendy, for your presentation. But I do have a question based on you guys wanting to work with small emerging businesses, but you're also using a point system and scaling people based on what they know and what they can already present to you guys. So how does that correlate with some of the smaller businesses who can get that information but doesn't look as good on paper because they are such smaller businesses than other businesses that you're going to be able to rate a bit higher than them?
It's a really good question. And the reason that I shared that part is because we're only applying that part to the central administrator role. And so whoever that entity is going to be that is going to come in and run that $50 million program, we want to make sure that we select entities that are going to develop the right partnerships that we're looking for. And so that's why I shared, that's why we're going to award additional points to those entities that are going to come in and they're going to have those partnerships, or they're going to commit to meeting the PCEF goals around diverse contracting. In terms of, so I hope that helps explain what that points piece was about. That's not going to be applied to contractors that are selected by the administrator. And the one thing that I will say is, while we're always trying to ensure that we're paying a fair price, we are not like a lowest cost requirement program. And so I just want to make sure that folks that we understand new and emerging contractors, which aren't totally vertically integrated, may not be the lowest bidders. And we do not require our grantees, or in this instance, our administrator, to select the lowest bidders.
Thank you.
Great question. And any others?
Can you repost Wendy's contact information, please?
Yep, it's in the chat and I'll can post it again.
Yep. And Wendy,
Thanks.
by way of, oh, sorry, was you about to say something, Wendy?
Nope, I was just gonna thank you.
Oh, and thank you too. And just by way of closeout comment, this is just more of a comment. And again, we love PCEF, but we're hearing kind of a growing concern from our small businesses who are on PCEF funded affordable housing projects that just getting paid is a delay amongst
Mhm.
like too long of a delay when you talk about prompt pay. And I know there's just a lot of compliance things that, you know, they have to jump through that sometimes they can't control. And so I don't know if any of these new administrators are helping to ease the cycle of payments because that is a huge,
Yeah.
huge barrier if folks can't get paid within like a 30 or net 45. And I'm hearing it's like net 90. And again, I just don't know where the gap in the system is or what we could do to correct it.
I could spend a whole hour talking about just that. The one thing I will say is, we are growing our team in our own capacity to be responsive. There are you as a contractor, you bill your grantee, then the grantee needs to bill us, and there's always a lot of paperwork issues in that billing that
Mhm.
need to get resolved that don't allow us to just push things forward as soon as we get them. And so um, I'm interested in having contractors be more aware of what the grantee reporting requirements are and what they're having to do for us, because then maybe you could help them a little bit more, giving them exactly what they need to get that quick turnaround. So we're definitely looking at that, and we've brought on we've really scaled up our outreach group, and we're planning a lot of different upcoming events. We hope you all come to all of them, and we're going to try to provide a lot of learning about the PCEF process and how we can all be successful together in it. But I will take that note, Nate, back to the group
Yep.
and be sure that that is understood, that that's a pain point.
Okay. No, appreciate you, Wendy. And again, thank you for being here with us. Please come back anytime you'd like to give us updates and be with the group.
Thanks so much.
Absolutely. All right. Would love to introduce another affordable housing builder we have in our community in Walsh Construction.
Hey Nate,
I
thanks
was gonna
for
say, I know I
popping in.
saw
I'm
Afton
here.
somewhere.
Yeah, I popped in. I was headed back from a job site, and so was a few minutes late jumping on.
Got it. No worries. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Well, I'm always excited to be here, but I'm especially excited to be here when I have a bunch of stuff bidding. And I'm looking for a lot of participation from a lot of folks on the call. So I will do a super quick check-in on, just Walsh Construction and how you get bids from us, and then I'll jump right into the projects. So I'm gonna kind of do the main presentation, but I have the project managers who are directly managing all of these projects are on the call, so they can answer the specific questions for everyone. So maybe next slide, please. So I guess first, I'm Afton Walsh. I'm Walsh's community outreach director and sort of project manager. I manage some of my own projects, but then I'm also really a resource to all of you all on any of our projects. So if you have any questions about a project you've heard about, when is it bidding? Is the bid over? What are my bid results? I always say, try to reach out to the project manager who's directly managing it first. But if you aren't getting what you need, or you're not sure who that person is, you can always reach out to me and I can go track them down and try to get you the information. If you have never bid Walsh work and it's something you're interested in or just want to know more about us, also reach out to me. We can meet up somewhere, have you come into the office, hear more about what type of work you do and see where your interest and skill set might match with the types of projects that we do. So feel free to email or call. Next slide. Really quickly, Walsh Construction we're a Northwest general contractor, started in Portland. We have an office in Seattle, probably since the late 90s. We also have an office in Tacoma and Vancouver. Vancouver is our most recent addition about 5 years ago. About 85% of what we do is public and sort of nonprofit affordable housing for clients like Reach and Central City, Home Forward, that type of work. a little bit of everything, but definitely affordable housing is our bread and butter. Go to the next slide. And really, I guess all across the state and kind of across the region, we do a lot in the urban core, but we're definitely seeing a lot pick up out at the coast, you know, down the valley, out sort of outside metro area. So if you are interested in traveling a little bit beyond the downtown Portland core, we have lots of opportunities, and some of those projects are large, you know, getting larger scale as well. So it can be great. And some of the bidding competition isn't always as fierce a little bit out of town. So actually a few of the projects we're talking about today are a little bit outside, so we'll talk about those. The kind of two main places to get our bid information is we have a, you know, I think everyone who's an NAMC member is, you know, unless you're a new member, you are in our bid system, and we use I square foot. So we will push out bids via email through I square foot to all of our stuff. If you can, sometimes it gets caught in people's junk mail because it doesn't come directly from Walsh, it comes from I square foot, so it can look a little funky. It's really awesome if you can if you can click the button in it that says I will bid, I'm thinking about it, or I won't. You know, you don't have to, but what that does is if you say I will bid, it means you're on our radar. And if for some reason we don't get a bid from you, we'll call you and we'll say, hey, you said you were going to bid, like, what's up? Did you know, that way we know if we missed it, or, you know, somehow it got lost in email, something like that. So it's just helpful information for us to know. Or if you say no, we'll stop bugging you. And then we try to post everything on our website as well, so you can always check there. We'll also run, I think, you know, Nate and NAMC, they have our bid flyer, so can distribute that kind of on a monthly basis. Everything should be up on Builders Exchange, so we try to have it as accessible for however you like to access bid information as possible. Next slide, please. So the projects I have today. First one, next slide. Oh, other direction. Great. So this is a project called Friends of the Children. I put it first because I'm the project manager, so clearly it's the best one that we have here today. This is right near Legacy Emmanuel. Friends of the Children is a really awesome nonprofit that does mentorship for, they basically identify kiddos in the kindergarten who are kind of most likely to fall through the gaps. They assign them professional mentors and then mentor them all the way through till they graduate from high school. It's a really effective program. They've actually started here in Portland, and they now have, I think, oh gosh, like 60 chapters across the country in the same model. So this is a really neat building. They own an old 1929 Catholic school church, and there'll be complete seismic upgrade, all new retrofitting. It's got a bunch of PCEF funding for, you know, all new energy efficient windows, energy efficient systems. And then we're going to put in a just under 4,000 square foot addition onto it. And it's called the Center of Education Excellence. So it's a place for both them to run their program, but then also for their programs all across the country to come to Portland to learn about the good work of the organization and how best to support our at-risk youth. It's a privately funded project, so it does not have full prevailing wage, but obviously has all of the PCEF wage requirements on PCEF portions. MWSB COVID goal is 20%. That's implemented by the client. It does not have, with the exception of the PCEF, which has PCEF requirements, the rest of the project is just identified by Friends. The MEPs have been bought out, but everything else is available. Documents will be issued Friday or maybe Monday at the latest. Will be job walks because it is an existing building for scopes that, you know, demo and framing and concrete. I saw you, Hugo. You guys should definitely take a look at it. So, you know, for those scopes where access and kind of really getting a look at the existing building is really important. 2 different opportunities to come take a look at the building, which work best in your schedule. I think And construction will start in the spring. Next slide.
Can I ask a
Yeah.
question?
Go ahead,
So
Simon.
that the bids were issued on January 10th and it closes on January 10th.
Oh, go back one.
Maybe it's supposed to be February.
That's supposed to be, that's not right. You get 3 weeks. So
Okay.
whatever that- yes, that's a typo. Thank you for catching that.
No worries.
I hope I'll check on the flyer, make sure it's right, and if not, I'll revise it. It'll be very clear in all of the actual bid documents that go out, what it is. Okay, next project. Sorry if I'm rushing, I just want to make sure to get to your questions, not go over time. 333 Oak Street. This is an occupied renovation of a 10-story quarter block in downtown Portland. So this is one of those, it's kind of a unique project type. I know some of you on the call have done the occupied renovation projects. Right now, we're only buying out MEPF design build and elevator, but the rest of the scopes will bid out this summer. So if you're not one of those, definitely keep it on your radar. And Northwest Housing Alternatives is the client. Prevailing wage, COVID goals, yeah, pretty straightforward. So to MEP upgrades, elevator modernizations, some finishes, new roof and window replacement. This one will also have, no, actually this one did not get PCEF. They were going for some PCEF, but they're still proceeding with the project. Next one, please. Next slide, thank you. This one is called Mariposa Village or Rand Road. It recently changed its name. If you've already maybe taken a look at this one in some of our early just pricing rounds. This one is out in Hood River, which it says Portland, but it's actually in Hood River. So as I was talking about those out of state or out of metro core, this is definitely one of those. 6 individual wood frame buildings, 130 units, you know, just over 7 acres. So a good size project. Also a good one for potentially teaming opportunities if maybe the full scope is a little bit more than you want to handle, or you think you might want great opportunity to bring in another partner. We're definitely always looking for those opportunities. And these bid documents were just issued, so this is out in the world, and you have until the end of the month.
Yeah, Afton, this is Kent.
Oh, yes.
I would also mention here that because of the multiple buildings, you know, other than teaming up with other subcontractors, there's opportunity to break up scopes to give a painter, you know, building 6 and 3, for instance, and there's different opportunities to make sure that, you know, there's opportunity for everybody.
So Kent, would you say that if someone who's on the call is like, oh, really interested in this, yeah, I think I can only want to try one building at this point, should they just reach out to you, have a conversation? That way, you know, when you get a bid that's only one building, you've had a chat about it in advance. Yeah,
those conversations would be great to have, and I'm, you know, available anytime for anyone on this call to chat about that. And it is out for bid, so if you didn't see an I-square foot invite, it could be in your junk mail. If not, it's loaded right now up on our website, so all the information is available to everyone here.
Perfect. Thanks, Ken, for chiming in on that. Let's go next slide. Thank you. This one is in Portland. So this one's called Jamie Court, and it's the old Portland Value Inn site that will be demolished and redeveloped into 77,000 square feet of new housing, 96 units, also a decent size. It's a 5-story building, so 4 stories of wood on 1 story of post-tension concrete. The owner is SEPA in partnership with Urban League, Human Assistance, Kindness, Intercultural Community Services, Hockey, Prevailing Wage, 30% MWSB. The documents, this is actually slightly old. This, as things in the world happen these days, things push out. So this has pushed out a week. The owners they're finalizing some ODOT coordination, so the drawings are a little bit behind. So I know that basically these dates, the February 14th date is correct for the due date, I believe. Maybe I don't know if Megan, what's the final due date?
I'm here. Yeah, so the bid documents will go out on Tuesday, the 14th. The Q&A session will be on Monday, the 27th, and bids will be due February 24th.
Yeah, perfect. 10 days out. So the one note on the bid info session, all the information on how to sign up for that will be in the bid invite. But that's really, I would encourage anyone who's interested to attend that, even if just for a portion. It's a good opportunity. It's just kind of an open call. Megan will walk through the details on the project. It's something we're trying to do on most of our projects, and just, allow you to ask questions if you have specific scope questions. If, you just want to listen and hear what other, subcontractors might be asking, feel free to jump on the call and learn more about the project and ask as detailed questions as you'd like to.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't send out meeting invites through iSquareFoot. So if you want to be invited, just reach out to me, let me know, and I'll pop you on there.
Perfect. Next slide. And I think this is our final project. So this is a little bit of a smaller project. So it's a renovation of the first and second floors of an existing 2-story office building for Neighborhood House, which has, food pantry, senior center, really great community project. So it's got more of a TI, interior renovation, some demolition, new partitions. You can kind of read the list here of all the scopes. So this is a good one, especially if you're looking for smaller scopes of work versus some of those larger buildings. It is a privately funded project, so there is not prevailing wage, and there are not MWSB requirements, but definitely a client who cares about utilization, and will definitely would encourage everyone to participate.
Good afternoon, this is Patty. Also, the project's located in Portland, so it's nearby. It really is a great project for particular interior trades. So
great, thanks, Patty. I think that's what you see. Is that the last slide? I believe it is. Great, thank you. So yeah, any questions on either specific projects or just in general? I know if there was a question in the chat, I apologize. There was a bunch of stuff.
There was one about landscaping by Emmanuel, and I would actually, because we're kind of behind the schedule a little bit, ask for any other members that have questions, please put them in the chat so Afton and her PM team can respond. Thank you for bringing multiple projects, Afton. We appreciate that effort and would love your PMs or you to let us know if for some reason you're not getting NAMC member responses. Sometimes they get busy, but we can chase them down and support, the communication exchange and make sure if they're interested or not.
Yes, definitely.
For all partners in that comment, but for you in particular. So thank you, Afton, as always, and looking forward to those projects achieving all those goals.
Sounds great.
All right. Yes, thank you, Afton. All right, so some quick introductions next. Would love for potential new partner in Matt Johnson of KPFF to announce and present himself to the group. He's somebody I've been talking to for a while and feel like engineering firms are missing that NAMC and want to see even more scaled as we move forward. So we have some, but we need more. So Matt, I will let you take it from here.
Hey, thanks, Nate. And it's been fun to be involved in the NAMC meetings and start to meet some of the folks participating. So I'm a project manager at KPFF Consulting Engineers. We are civil engineers, land surveyors, and structural engineers. We've been working we've had our Portland office for 50 years. I would say right now we're probably 190 people in Portland between all three disciplines. So we're a pretty fair sized group. What do we do all day? Well, our clients hire us to help them with their projects. We design, we collaborate, we strategize, we identify potential risks, we try and mitigate those risks as best as possible. We advise our clients, we develop our staff, we work with all kinds of agencies, and we are always seeking continuous improvement. So I wouldn't be surprised if any of those statements are parallels in your work. There's more to the backstory. That's not why I came. I'll move on. What do we want? Well, we want to collaborate with minority contractors. We had internal discussion and we said, what is it about us that gives us our value in the industry? And it's our people. And it's not, companies don't have good ideas, people have good ideas. And so it's our people that have, the value in our built environment. So we're a collective, we're a group of, collective talent, and we are motivated to do positive things. And it would be a real shame if we were not pointed in the right direction. So that's why I'm reaching out and I'm presenting today to try and let people know who we are and what we're interested in, what we would like to do. So how are we going to do this? We would like to, become available, and you'll be able to contact us. My contact is in the chat, but early on, so I'll paste it again now, so it's in there again. But we want to talk to you about how you do your work. If you're an earthwork contractor or general contractor, there's probably many more points of mutual interest, but that doesn't exclude other contractors. And if you notice the quote above my head, that's not there by accident. It's because you may be aware of something, or you may have an idea that I don't have. And so that's what we're looking for. We want to hear it. So we want to meet you, and we want to talk to you about how you do your work. What is it about what we do that we could share that would be informative and helpful for your company, or to help your people, maybe build some skills or get more knowledgeable in a certain area? We can talk about our firms. We can talk about how you do your work. We can talk about technical things. Maybe you want to know things about certain parts of design. We want to talk about utilities or retaining walls or storage tanks or, ADA code, all these things that come up during site development projects. We do the stuff day in, day out, all the time. So that's kind of really our forte. What programs do we use? What programs do you use? What we're seeing a lot of is, AutoCAD was a nice leap off of paper. And then as that's developed, now it's become BIM and modeling, and it's three-dimensional, and people are tying it to schedules and other programs and helping them with procurement. And so the technology is really pushing us forward. And so we can talk about those things, what we're doing and what you're doing. If you offer permitting services, perhaps there's some permitting advice or things that we could share. We've gotten, we work with all kinds of agencies on all kinds of things. And then obviously, there's marketing and potential project opportunities. And so, before we get to that discussion, I think we'd like to know something about, about the members and, who's doing the work in our community. Maybe there's peer contacts that we can share or help make introductions. Another thing that we'd like to do is we'd like to attract talent to the profession. As just the demographics, right? Baby boomers are starting to retire and phase out of industries. And, there's not as many new kids coming through with engineering degrees. And so we'd like to, encourage that and develop interest with kids. So if, it doesn't have to be just adults. We're interested if there's a kid that's maybe possibly thinking about engineering or construction and would like to, just come for a visit or see something about it. We're open to that. There's lots of things we can share, and that's why you should imagine what it is that you would like to reach out to us about. So I'll paste my contact info in the chat one more time. and I hope to hear from folks. And my preliminary discussions with a few people that I've had, it was real positive. People thought it was pretty interesting. So let's see what we can do. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Matt, and I would definitely be remiss if I didn't say some of our smaller design firms would love to see partnering with a big firm like KPFF in the future too. So let's definitely add that to the agenda, and we'll do some matchmaking as we move forward, because we hear it sometimes that big projects always use big firms on the design side and the small firms kind of get left out, if you will. So we want to try to correct that and do all those things you said around committing and strengthening our relationships better.
Absolutely. Yes. Love to hear that.
Yep, appreciate you, Matt. And we'll be connecting offline. If anybody wants to connect directly with Matt, please do so. Um, would love to introduce Bill Lanning, our newest partner from MWA Architects, who would love to also make some announcements and introduce himself to the group.
Yeah, thanks, Nate.
Yep.
And I know we're a little short on time, so I'll make it brief. MWA Architects here in Portland. We've had an office here since 2000. We started at that time as Michael Willis Architects. Michael was a Black architect who had a vision to do work with a lot of nonprofits and public agencies to the same level that a market rate developer may be doing work. So currently within the Portland metro area and Oregon, we do a lot of work on the affordable housing side. Had opportunities to work with Afton and Walsh Construction on a number of projects, as well as Matt and KPFF on civil and structural engineering. Also do a lot of work in the infrastructure realm, that being a lot of water, wastewater treatment facility type work. We're getting more into transportation and sustainability work. And that's been focused on some of the work out at the Port of Portland, at the airport, some of the more dirty work, I guess I would call it, in terms of baggage and those kind of, purpose areas, as well as work focused on solid waste transfer and kind of conversion of solid waste into natural gas and some alternative fuel energies, some things like that. And so similar to what Matt was saying, we've been active. Gene, you may be familiar, Gene Root, or Gene also Von Bargen Root, has been pretty active at Awami for a number of years. This past year, we opened a NOMA, or Portland, City of Portland, not City of Portland. There's a NOMA chapter in Portland, which is the National Organization of Minority Architects. We've been actively involved in that, both locally as well as nationally through different principles. And as Michael retired in 2016, that's when we changed the name to MWA. But his retirement, different changes happen. We want to make sure that we maintain the roots of the company, and the principals who are in charge are really focused on that. I'd lastly say that we're also looking for opportunities, where we can, to bring and introduce the field of design to more people, as well as knowing that we can only draw something. We could draw something 10 different ways, and it doesn't mean it's the best way to build it. So working with the general contractor as well as the subcontractors like yourselves to better inform us on how, what we're putting on paper is actually getting built, and what we can do better in that regard. And lastly, I'd say I'm really excited. We're working with Self Enhancement Inc. on some early concept for a project. And we've talked to them about the opportunity to maybe bring in an intern within our company post high school graduation. So, there aren't as many opportunities, I'd say, in the design fields for people who have already graduated but aren't going through kind of a college program or something. So we're looking at opportunities and ways to, again, do more outreach to people who may be interested in the field but don't have the same exposure that others might have. So I think I'll leave it at that, Nate. I'll also put my information in the chat, so if anyone wants to reach out and find out more,
No,
please feel
thank you,
free.
Bill. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Bill. And we'll be following up because, NAMAC created a scholarship fund on the AEC track, and we want to make sure for internships, folks we help fund might tap some of our partners or members to do some interning with them as well. So we will circle back to partners on that, but I would love for Bill Bruce and the Raimore Group to close us out with an exciting project that I don't know how many years in the making, but but go ahead, Bill. It's your show.
It's exciting, isn't it? Yeah, we're here. I'm Bill Bruce. This is Ashley Henry. We've also got Angela Murphy and Ryan Knox on the call. Well, I didn't know we were going to have any slides.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, I think this is probably too much information to go over, but I'll try to do it in the slideshow. Next slide. Early work phase. I-5 Rose Quarter is back on. The first phase of the work is called Phase 1A. Can we take this slide deck down, please? It's just way too much. I'm sorry. We'd be here for a half
Yeah,
hour.
no, all good,
Yeah.
Bill.
I'm sorry. You
No
can thank me
problem
later,
at all,
right?
Bill.
This first phase of the work that's back out is worth about 40 million bucks. Some of the subs were procured way back when. They include Raimore, they include Agami, they include Just Bucket. But there's a whole bunch more subcontracting opportunities that we want to get out and advertise for. We think there's about 20 million in subcontracted work out of the 40, and of that 20 million, we think about 10 of it should easily be achievable with RDB contractors that are here. The outreach portion or period is going on from now through the beginning of February, and then the early bid the sub bid packages will go out in early February. The work is anticipated to break ground in July of this year, 2025, and proceed until completion in December of 2026. And sometime in that period of time, we'll see other portions of the project come online. So this is the first of many bid opportunities that will come out. I'm hoping Angela will put this in the chat for me, but if everybody goes to i5rosequarter.org, I think it is, you'll find the meeting schedule for the Citizens Oversight Advisory Committee. If you recall from way back when, we presented the project once a month publicly, and we're going to start that back up next week on the 16th, the evening of the 16th. There'll be a much more robust presentation on this first small package and all the other packages that are envisioned coming online, and you'll get an update from the executive leadership of the project as well. And I think that's all I really wanted to get you since we're over time. If you want to really know more about the project, come to next week's Citizens Oversight Advisory meeting, and you'll see that slideshow that we were just about to start into. Did I miss anything, Angela?
No, we are going to be publishing ads in the next week. So we'll be publishing in the DJC as well as all of the minority papers with all of the scopes that are going to be available. And I think right now there's about 38 or 39 different scopes of work, depending on the contractor you want to work with. So those will be posted on the 15th next week in the DJC, as well as in the Scanner Observer, El Latino de Hoy, and online on the Asian Reporter. So there's we'll have some more information coming out, and we'll also just directly email those to NAMC to get out to members as well.
Yep. Thank you, Angela. We would definitely want that, and we can help disseminate folks interested alongside you all. But thank you. Raimore is very accessible, as many know. So if you can't get a hold of them, call us. We'll chase them down too. But there's some exciting projects, and we know that they will achieve their goals as they always do. So appreciate hearing y'all's presentation and everybody else's today. I don't want to keep y'all on a night that's already starting to get dark. So I want to conclude today's general meeting with the underscore of please keep coming back and being consistent and back to data. Please let us know if members are on your projects, because we're going to start doing some highlights for partners in the new year and really calling out the ones that are going above and beyond and not shaming others, but setting the expectations and baselines real time in 2025 and moving forward. So thank you all. We'll see you soon. Reach out to us if you need anything, and we'll do the same. So have a good night and meeting adjourned.
Hey, Nate.
Yep.
Quick question for you. Is there a way to download the chat like in normal meetings? I don't see a button here just to play some follow-up.
Sadie might be able to help you on our team with that.
I can do that and I can share that with you.
Okay, that'll be wonderful. Thank you,
More
Sadie.
than happy to do so. Thank
Yeah,
you.
appreciate it. Thank you. Have a great day, guys.
Absolutely. Everybody have a good night. See you later.